Hey there, fellow Oregon landlords and property managers. If you're watching this in mid-June 2026, you've probably already heard the buzz. Two brand new laws just took effect in early June, and they touch two things every one of us deals with daily: how tenants pay rent and how we handle their personal information. SB 1523 and HB 4123 aren't massive overhauls, but they do require some practical tweaks to the way we run our businesses. The good news? Most of you are already doing a lot of this the right way. These laws basically codify common-sense practices that protect tenants without creating huge new burdens. Drawing from recent PAROA helpline activity, where questions about payment app headaches and what can I safely share about a tenant have been climbing, I wanted to give you a clear, no-nonsense breakdown of exactly what changed, what you need to do this week, and how to stay out of trouble while keeping things professional and tenant-friendly. Let's dive in. Both bills became effective right around June 5th or 6th, 2026. They build on earlier 2026 updates like the January electronic access rules from HB 3378 and reflect a continuing legislative focus on tenant protections in housing. Virtually every residential landlord in Oregon is affected: single-family homes, small multifamily, big apartment complexes, Portland metro properties, and rentals in Central Oregon alike. The core idea is simple: give tenants real choices on how they interact with you digitally, and keep sensitive personal information under tighter control. Do it right, and you reduce disputes, protect yourself from penalties, and actually strengthen trust with good tenants. Let's start with SB 1523. Payment portals, checks, printable applications, and building access alternatives. This is the one that hits the mailbox and the front door every month. What the law says in plain English: a tenant portal is defined broadly as any app, website, software, or digital platform used for applying, paying rent, signing documents, requesting repairs, viewing statements, you name it. Email and text messages are specifically excluded, so you can still communicate normally the old-fashioned way. Landlords must allow tenants to pay by check or other commercially reasonable non-electronic methods. You cannot force exclusive use of a portal, credit or debit card, or electronic check. You can still offer portals and even pass through processing fees, as long as the processor allows it. You offer a non-electronic option, and you provide records on request. But you can't hit a tenant with late fees or start termination proceedings if they offer a valid paper check or other reasonable method, and you refuse it. On the application side, if you use a portal, you must either post a printable version on your website or provide a printed or printable copy within 3 days of a written request. You also have to process paper applications with the same priority and speed as digital ones. For building or common area access, if you use an app-based system, you must also offer at least one alternative that doesn't rely solely on a tenant's phone or the portal. Think physical key, fob, keycard, or access code. Before SB 1523, many landlords, especially in multifamily, defaulted to download the app or pay online only. Some older Portland buildings already offered keys, but it wasn't always required. After the law, tenants have a clear right to request and receive alternatives. You can still use modern tools, but you can't make them the only option. Practical steps for your Portland metro properties. Update your rental applications and lease language this week. Add a simple sentence like this: tenant may pay rent and other charges by personal check mailed to the address or other commercially reasonable methods. Upon written request, landlord will provide a non-portal alternative for any tenant portal functions, including building access. For older buildings common in Southeast or Northeast Portland, this is usually easy. You're probably already handing out keys or fobs. Just document that you offered the alternative. For newer or larger complexes using sleek apps, train your team to respond promptly to written requests for paper checks or physical access credentials. Keep records of those requests and how you fulfilled them. Action item this week: pull your current lease addenda and application packets, make the updates above, and start using the revised versions immediately for new tenancies. For existing tenants, a simple one-page notice summarizing their rights under the new law goes a long way. Before we get into the details of the second law, and now a couple shameless plugs. Hey, if you're a Portland area landlord, come join the community over at www.paroa.org. We've got education, forums, networking, and we fight for your rights at the legislature. And for owners in the Portland Metro or Central Oregon looking for hassle-free management, check out the pros at www.nwrpm.com. Okay, now let's turn our attention to HB 4123, EYES, Protecting Tenant Confidential Information and the Real Risk of Knowingly Violating. This one carries higher stakes, so pay close attention. HB 4123 strengthens privacy protections and creates a statutory damages remedy. If you knowingly disclose certain confidential information, the affected individual can recover an amount equal to twice their monthly rent. What counts as confidential information? It's a broad list that includes immigration or citizenship status, social security number or other government ID, date of birth, phone number or email, banking tax or income information, employer details, medical or disability records, and certain domestic violence or VAWA-related records. You cannot disclose this information except in specific allowed situations. With the person's separate written consent, pursuant to a court order or judicial subpoena, not just an administrative one, for legitimate background or credit screening, for repair or maintenance contact info, for references to another landlord, for affordable housing compliance audits, or for your own insurance collection or court needs. Threatening to disclose immigration status or other protected info to intimidate or retaliate is also off limits. This builds on 2025's SB 599 that made immigration status a protected class in fair housing. Why this matters in real life? Imagine a staff member casually mentions a tenant's immigration status in a group chat or shares an SSN on an unsecured spreadsheet, or a former tenant's medical info leaks during a reference call gone wrong. Under the knowingly standard, sloppy internal practices can create real liability, especially in a tight rental market where tenants know their rights. What smart landlords are doing right now? Audit every form, application, lease addendum, and internal spreadsheet that collects or stores tenant data. Create a simple written policy that confidential tenant information is only accessed by authorized staff on a need-to-know basis and is never disclosed except as permitted by law or with written consent. Train your team, even part-time leasing agents, on what can and cannot be shared and how to document any required disclosures. When a third party like a court, government agency, or new landlord requests info, require the proper written authorization or court order and keep a record of what was shared and why. Penalty at a glance: up to 2 times monthly rent per violation when the disclosure was knowing. That's real money on a Portland 2-bedroom. Action item this week: schedule a 30-minute staff huddle. Walk through the definition of confidential information and role play. A couple of what would you do scenarios. Document the training. Here's your immediate action checklist. What to do this week and this month. Prioritize the first 3. They take the least time and deliver the biggest risk reduction. First, update all rental applications, leases, and portal terms of service with the new alternative payment and alternative access language. Second, post a printable application version on your website or prepare to provide one within 3 days of a written request. Third, create or revise a 1-page tenant notice explaining the new rights under both SB 1523 and HB 4123. Fourth, audit your data handling practices and limit who on your team can access SSNs, immigration docs, or medical information. Fifth, document everything: requests for alternatives, how you responded, any disclosures made, and the legal basis for them. And sixth, if you're a PAROA member, grab the updated landlord forms that already reflect these changes. Do these 6 things and you'll sleep better, knowing you're compliant with the latest new Oregon landlord laws, 2026. Now let's look at some common scenarios and how to handle them the right way. Scenario 1. Tenant says, "I don't do apps," and wants to pay by check. Compliant response: no problem at all. Here's our mailing address for checks. We also accept other reasonable methods. Just let us know in writing if you ever need a different option. Risky response: sorry, our system only takes portal payments now. Scenario 2. Tenant requests a physical key instead of the building app. Compliant: provide the key, fob, or code promptly and note the request in the file. Risky: ignore the request or make them jump through extra hoops. Scenario 3. A prospective landlord calls asking about a former tenant's immigration status or medical situation. Compliant: I can confirm tenancy dates and payment history with written authorization from the former tenant. Anything beyond that I can't share without proper consent or a court order. Risky: volunteering extra details off the record. Scenario 4. Court or government agency requests records. Compliant: ask for the judicial subpoena or court order, fulfill only what is required, and keep a log. You're protected when you follow the exceptions. Why proactive compliance actually protects your business and your reputation. These laws aren't designed to punish good landlords. They're designed to close loopholes that bad actors exploited. The landlords who update once, train their teams, and document their processes will see fewer disputes, stronger tenant relationships, and far lower legal risk. Small process changes today eliminate most of the exposure. Clear communication actually makes you look more professional, not less. So, have you started making these updates to your forms and policies, or are you still figuring out the best way to handle payment alternatives and data requests on your properties? Drop your thoughts, questions, or even your own scenarios in the comments below. I'd love to hear what's working for you and help the whole community navigate these changes together. Thanks for watching, and here's to smooth sailing and timely rent checks for the rest of 2026. Hey, if you're a Portland area landlord, come join the community over at www.paroa.org. We've got education, forms, networking, and we fight for your rights at the legislature. And for owners in the Portland Metro or Central Oregon looking for hassle-free management, check out the pros at www.nwrpm.com. Join paroa.org and nwrpm.com today for more expert guidance and management services. Like, subscribe, and comment.